Everton was the right job. There was a director at Blackpool Football Club, and because I used to go and watch so much football, I used to go to the games, and I'd come to Blackpool quite regular to see them playing. I remember this, and he was an old Scottish guy. He said to me, "There's only one club for you, son, and it's Everton." And I sort of nodded my head and went away and didn't really think much of it. But it stuck with me, and it proved to be right. I did have other offers before I chose Everton. I'd met Southampton, I'd met Nottingham Forest, but to name those ones, there was others as well at the time who were interesting. I had met Sheffield Wednesday and I thought, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And I remember I phoned Sir Alex up and I said, could I see him? And he says, yeah, and actually it was the new Carrington at the time. So I went to his office in Carrington, which ultimately became my office in years to come. And I sat there and I spoke to him about Sheffield Wednesday. And Sir Alex was so knowledgeable. He went through all the squad, all the players, went through them all, and said to me, "No, David, I don't think it's that good a job." I went, fine. And that was it. I went away back to Preston. I don't think MD can quite understand, and if you're a young coach, the difference in the change to suddenly trying to prepare for a Premier League game to where I had been and working with the players, and I had been a player at Preston, I had been a coach, I'd been assistant manager, I'd been manager, and now I was going somewhere new. And I found that in the first day I was walking into a dressing room which had Paul Gascoigne, David Ginola, Duncan Ferguson, Tommy Gravison. It was full of international players. And I don't think all the coaching badges you do and all the practice gets you ready and prepared for that moment, really. And I think that's a different part of being a coach and a manager, that, you know, how you deal with it, how you handle it, how you gain respect. I think you have to earn respect. I don't think you can be given it. I think you have to earn it. I think the way you earn it is by coaching, by showing you've got good knowledge of what you're talking about. You can put practices on what the players believe are correct, are good. It can't all be jolly, but it has to be towards the game. And I think that's what I was always working towards in a way. But I think also you have to show that you're the boss as well when it comes to it. There was great players in the dressing room, but I had made my mind up that I didn't necessarily want players at the end of their career who are coming maybe for the last year or two, good money, top money, with no resale value and no longevity. My plan was to get a young, exciting, hungry players, and I knew I couldn't do it overnight, but the knowledge I'd brought from the Championship meant that I knew that there was 3 or 4 players in that league which I thought were hungry and could step up. Bringing Tim Cahill to the club set a different type of standard, because I believe that he came with a hunger, determination, a toughness, also an ego. It was myself and the chairman, Bill Kenwright. I said to him, I'd like you to come to see Millwall in Birmingham. It was in the playoff games in the Championship. And you have to remember, Millwall had a really good team, but Tim Cahill was the one I wanted to go and see. And I said, and we went, and I remember we drove in Bill's old Jag, and the car was getting battered on the way into Millwall. We were battering it, and I'm thinking, what have I done here? We invited Tim later to come and speak to us. Bill thought he was a great character, which I didn't know, and it's something which for managers is very difficult to find out about players' characters. You try to meet them, you try to find out a bit about them, but I've got to say we signed a brilliant character. My first year we done well at Everton, second year we didn't, third year better, fourth year not so good. That's the process it takes, and I nearly feel, I hope this interview goes out to some of the owners. And I hope a lot of the owners are watching, because I would say it took time to change what was there. Time to change contracts round, time to move people on, time for people naturally to maybe grow a little bit older and have to change club. and for also the time to get the players in, because you can't bring them in all the time. So I think the coaches, we all understand that. The problem is getting the owners to understand that, or the CEOs to understand that. But what I will say, if you look at our success at Everton, over the piece we were finishing in the top 7, 8, 6, 5, and eventually 4 over a long period of time. And I think that came from stability at the club, getting to know how the club works and getting to know the theme of the club. And I think to change football clubs round is not something you can do very quickly. It takes a long time to do that. But I hope that we kept a lot of the real values at Everton, what the supporters wanted, what they needed, but we were also trying to take it into a modern culture, modern players, modern style. And if you look at their success, I think at Everton it was remarkable what we achieved in the time with what we had. We were always pushing, and actually my last 2 years at Everton saw us finish above Liverpool in the league, which at that time, when you look back now at where it is, you would say, well, it's a remarkable achievement to finish. And Everton really hadn't had a great history of finishing above Liverpool in the league, maybe only once or twice in the last 20 years. So for us to do it twice before I left was a really big achievement. We were improving. We had a very, very good team. For coaches getting to the first point of, say, getting 2 years in football now, I hear a lot saying, well, if you have a good style, a good philosophy, I'd say no. If you have a good winning record, you'll get 2 years. If you can actually keep that up, you might get 5 years. And I hope that some get to 10 years. I think we're seeing less and less of it in football. And I hope it's not, because my time at 11 years at Everton certainly was one of the longest. If you look back at British football, you look at the real dynasties in football. So you look at Nottingham Forest, Brian Clough, Sir Bobby Robson at Ipswich, Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, the length of period he was there. So I actually think those clubs in the main have all had a high level of success through their time. But I have to say, unfortunately, we're in a completely different era, a modern era where actually changing your manager quite regular is in fashion. And I think if you are a coach coming into the world today, I think you have to come in with not a long-term vision, a short-term view, and then a mid to short-term view of what you can do to win games, get results, get people believing that you are the right man for the job. I do believe you should have a philosophy in how you play, how you get those results, the way your club runs. I think you should have an influence on if you can. You've got to hope that you have good owners and good directors who are going to allow you to do that.